Welcome everybody to part two special episode of the debate review between Austin Whitsitt and Jonathan Shelley, and that was moderated by Owen Benjamin. Now I know it's been a little bit since y'all seen me, but you know, as Graveler Tube gots to do, they gotta gravel, and so we had a week suspension. But now we're back, so hopefully y'all are excited for this part two. The last one was really fun, was really funny, and I'm excited to talk about part two. So hope you're pumped too. You know, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow, and we're going. And yeah, anyways, let's jump. We got our dear brother Frankie B with us tonight, and hopefully maybe some other people will join along the way if they get a chance to do so. And yeah, I'm excited. What are your thoughts, Frankie B? Welcome, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Can you hear me? How's it sound?
It sound
better?
Yeah.
Sound better? Yeah, I went in and changed my adjustments.
Okay, I am also gonna... Because
Yeah,
you sound better than me, I need to change your...
No, you actually sound really good.
Okay, here, let me add you.
You can turn your microphone, your volume up on the, just click on your screen or go into your settings.
Yeah,
that's what I just did.
Yeah, let's see.
Now my thing's going green all the time, though, but it does sound good, though?
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna...
All right, cool.
Where is... Oh, it's so weird. I gotta...
How's everybody doing tonight? Looking forward to a good show. This should be a good topic.
No, it's
fun.
Yeah, I'm working on audio. Anyone that's in chat, please let us know if audio is good, if you can hear both me and Frankie well. If we need to turn up, please let us know before we get too far into it. But the last video was people loved it, and I loved doing it, and so like I said, I'm excited for part two. And yeah, it was like a 3-hour stream, guys, so we only got through half of it. So I'm still pumped to go through it and have some laughs for sure. So real quick before we do that, I'm not gonna do the whole opening that I normally do for episodes, but I am gonna share the last video on Circle of the Earth Fellowship. And I first of all, badge of honor. Thank you, YouTube, for that beautiful badge of honor showing us all what we should look into, right? Because, you know, who else needs a quote-unquote misinformation bubble? And we got 9 comments. I'm going to read these real quick before we get into...
How's that sound?
Let's see. Is people saying...
Frankie
sounds too close to the mic. Vader sounds fine.
All right. Is that better? Is that better?
Let me adjust you back to normal.
Yeah. Vader sounds fine. Shalom. Cat Lady Forever. That's a cool name.
Okay, I think you're back, but I think you're getting the background noise now. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not, or if it's just me. But Frankie,
Shoot it.
well, here, let's mute it for a second. I'm gonna read. We got a whole bunch of comments I'm gonna check out. So hold the line 777. She put out a lot of stuff. Go check this out. I'm not gonna take up that much time, but I did want to read one of these. But thank you for all those comments and putting all that time into. And these are great points definitely check them out. But this one, it says 236:19, which we'll talk about. What he really said, the Bible just means the atmosphere when it says firmament. One of the worst arguments from a biblical perspective, because it literally teaches the firmament will be rolled up like a scroll. So according to his understanding, the atmospheric is going to be rolled up as a scroll at the Lord's return, when we're all going to suffocate. Yeah, and there is so many scientific problems in what he does. Is he just leans on science, saying some way this will materialize and work and be a miracle, like he said with the sun stopping and the moon stopping over their places. But we're gonna get to that tonight. But thank you for all that hard work, sister, and all that thought. It's awesome. And then Casimir Solotsky, not 100% sure if I probably 100% butchered that. It says the fake pastor looks like not much is coming from his head, just reading instructions. Yeah, he's basically just that, and that's the thing with that model, is they can just lean on it. We're at least admitting, like, hey, we don't know. Like, we're seeking the truth of the earth. We can tell you for sure that the radius value has been debunked so many times, it's ridiculous. And then my lovely wife coming through and dropping the original debate on Rumble. And if you want to watch the whole thing, the beginning is horrid, though. I will say that. So funny. Yes, we had so much time, so much fun. 3 hours went by so fast. 126. I agree with Sean from Kingdom and Context that once it gets, it goes too fast or tries too hard to cover all the points. Debates are also suited to someone who slows things down and repeats simple, powerful points. Interestingly, I have some same critique of Sean when doing theological debates. Being proficient in the subject does not mean success in a live debate. I totally agree with you, and I think Sean is saying that coming from a place of probably having some introspection and seeing that, and trying to work on that, as well as giving that, throwing that advice to Austin himself, because I can listen to Austin on double speed. So for me personally, I don't have a problem with the quickness of his language and the words that he's using. I totally understand what he's saying, but I do think for the general public, and definitely the people on the other side, what I do think is, I think he says so many zingers that if anyone was like, I'm going to prove that guy wrong, and took the words that he said, and like, even if they had to go 0.5 speed in order for them to like write it down and look it up, they would find everything that he's saying is totally true, and are debated. They make these simplistic, powerful statements, but they don't back it up with anything other than all these fallacies, authority, consistence. Like, there's all these horrible ways that they do that. And good shows, CEF. Thank you so much, Richard. We appreciate that love there. We appreciate the comments, the new subscribers. We're up to 1177, so pretty cool. And we definitely appreciate all the new subscribers. But yeah, all right. Without further ado, Frankie B, let's get into it. Now, I want to check real quick, because I think it was like 1:30 exactly. I just want to be 100% sure where we were when we stopped last time. So let me. It's gonna be Graveler Tube. So 1 second.
I said that it's a geocentric but
Of course. I just need to see the time where I pause it. Do I not pause it? Alright, where's the closest time where I pause it?
The audio is a little cracky.
Yeah, that's because it's on YouTube right now. As soon as I start playing it, it's actually downloaded on my computer. I just need to get a timestamp, which it's. I don't think it's gonna show me. Okay, so it's shortly after. Okay, it's shortly after it shows those. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop this one. Bring up a new window with this on it. Live, okay. And I'm gonna make that full screen. Will you mute yourself? I'm getting a lot of background, brother. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Don't need that anymore. Sorry. It's not gonna let me like view it easily. Okay, even if we go over it a little bit, I'm gonna just start it halfway at 1:30, and we'll just start it from there and not waste time. So let's keep going.
Centrism is the idea that the Earth is not moving in the solar system and everything's moving around it. Those are two different points. So when it comes to your viewpoint, just because they use the word geocentric doesn't mean that they don't believe the Earth is moving. In fact, the model is based on the Earth moving specifically. So the ECF is based on the Earth moving and it being a sphere. So to me, your answer would be that they actually are using a heliocentric model, even though obviously that word is used twice. So I don't think that you're understanding the question that I'm asking.
All right, you're saying I'm not understanding it, but you just made the claim that the Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system is about the Earth moving. It specifically is not.
It's based on the rotation and the orbit of the Earth, yes.
No, it's based on the sidereal rotation. You believe is in the Earth is you centered Earth-fixed coordinate system and moving around it. It's then transformed to a Earth-centered inertial frame, which tries to begin to make corrections for the spin, and it's so bad to have the C.
Just a reminder, guys, this is downloaded on my computer. This is not so ridiculous. I'm going to try to, it is full screen. Let's see if this helps.
Seasons taking place every 24 hours. Okay, so the fixed coordinate system is just that, and your model still, man, is because of relativity, everything occurs on the Earth as if the Earth's in a state of rest. From the Earth, it's always going to look like we're stationary.
Okay, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to lose this chat, but that's fine because I will be able to pull it up here. Just won't be able to talk, which is better than what it currently is. So, what the heck? What just happened? That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Okay, sweet. Alright, let's see. Let's see if it will play now.
So to map everything out, you can just treat it like it's stationary. Motion is relative.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Austin, your audio, your audio is getting a little.
Oh God! Okay. It was the actual video. It was the actual stream, the original stream, where it was lagging, not my computer. Oh my gosh! I totally forgot about that. That's so hilarious. Real quick, shout out, Cat Lady Forever, welcome, Lori G, good to see you. Cover to cover, Jeremy, always good to see you, brother. Emissary of the Elohim, good to see you, as well as Joy, always good. It's always a joy to see you as well. We got Kyle here. He looks like he has some family visiting, so he is just tuning in. Good to see you. And Daryl Callahan as well. Welcome, brother. Good to see you as well. And if I missed anyone, I apologize. But yeah, let's keep playing now that we know that it's not it was the actual stream. Oh, Derek, we got Derek in the house as well. Welcome, brother. All right, here, let's keep going.
Clicky. We'll come back for your point. I understand your point was you're making a very good point. We'll give your audio just a little rest, maybe a little buffer. Someone in my chat wants the good pastor to explain compass made a circle upon the face of the earth and how that can exist on a ball.
I just want to make sure I understand. Are we bringing up the Isaiah 40:22 verse again? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Someone just asked me to ask you that.
Well, I do want to clarify. So the earth, let me make sure I'm getting this in the view. The earth-centered, earth-fixed model is specifically saying when there's a star that's out here in the distant light, even though the earth is spinning, that starlight traveling towards the earth doesn't change. And so they calculate where on the sphere that specific point would be hitting our sphere, even though the earth is continually spinning. But that model is specifically based on the rotation of the earth. So it's silly to me to then make some kind of a geocentric argument or geocentrism argument. When it comes to the circle of the earth, I believe that means sphere. But even if you
shout out circle of the earth, right? We all know what that means. You're taking it out of context. We already talked about Chug and Dur. You obviously know that he could have used Dur, but he didn't. So he used hug. And yeah, so thank you for the shout out, though, circle of the earth.
Took it as a literal circle. The outward crust of the earth would be a circle. And of course, God doesn't sit in a two-dimensional world. He sits in a three-dimensional world. And I have a few pictures if we want to show them on the screen real quick, but there's a lot of Bibles that literally have Jesus Christ sitting on the sphere of the earth.
Boom, guys, boom. There are pictures that people made that has Jesus on the earth. Therefore, globe that we have right here in the picture. Yeah, right there, Johnny boy.
From the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th century, we could show, I think they're around images 55 and plus, but if you want to show any of those images, you can show all kinds of measurements where he's measuring the sphere with a compass specifically. I think there's one that actually even shows him sitting. Yeah, go to image 80 or 62. Image 62. Yeah, here's him literally sitting on a sphere. And again, some of these are, obviously.
Oh yeah, this has no esoteric occultic at all, right, guys? This is Eastern Orthodox, right? This is completely. Look how beautiful that angel is, right? It's like it looks like the sun. It's so beautiful. What's that black sphere it's coming from? Oh, I wonder. Yeah, weird.
Kind of symbolic or metaphoric in a sense, but at the same time, they are believing that the earth was a sphere. In Genesis chapter number 1, it shows the compass, which is a reference to Proverbs chapter number 8 specifically. And so, to say that Christians have historically believed in the flat earth would be gaslighting, because there's plenty of evidence to suggest that Christians for the last several hundred years have all recognized the spherical earth. They drew pictures of it.
So you're making a...
So real quick before we hear what the Big Bear has to say, he is literally leaning upon the quote unquote recent couple hundred years, right? But he's leaning on the authority of the so-called priesthoods of the Eastern Orthodox, and the Catholic churches, right? Which are, you look at them today, and they all believe in the globe. They have the globe in their logos. They have the globes in their churches. Yeah, no joke. Of course. There is a lot of money in those two organizations, and you could even include more American in the Mormon Church. There's so much money in that, specifically because it's intrinsically tied into their religion. Now, I'm not saying Jonathan is that. Of course, he is a Baptist, as he self-proclaims. And I grew up Southern Baptist, and so I, like, all the things that he's saying, I would have totally made those arguments before. That's why I personally, even through the first one and now, and the fact here, let's go ahead and bring it up now, is I made I have the wrong one. Great. Been having that one the whole time. Sweet. So I have this. Let's add the self-projection counter, where it literally, he's been self-projecting. Now, that's not even the all the times. I'm sure I missed some, and if I did miss some, Adam in the comments below, she may have added a whole bunch, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways. He's Baptist. I get it. He grew up believing this. He was taught this. But yeah, let's keep going. Real quick, you have anything to add to that, Frankie B, before we continue?
Nah, it's just ridiculous, his argument. I mean, every time he says spinning globe, I just cringe. I mean, there's so many other verses that say that we're a fixed plane under a dome. I mean, but they hang on that one verse, the circle of the earth. And no matter how many times you break it down and say there's different meanings in the translation, and they just keep clinging to that. I mean, it's just, and then these pictures from the Catholic Church are ridiculous. Is there any? Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's cringeworthy every time he says we're spinning. I mean, there's so many verses that say we're fixed under a dome, under a canopy. It's the earth is rolled out like a scroll. I mean, and he wants to cling to one verse. They all do. It's just absurdity. And these pitsters, they came from the Catholic Church, and that whole doctrine is from the Jesuits and
through Nicholas Copernicus.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he's leaning on some pretty provable wicked powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it's just cringeworthy that he calls himself a pastor. I mean, he's just a hireling. You know what the Bible says, that the wolf is like the hireling. I mean, it's just sad, man. It's sad, the state of the church, because from my belief, we have all authority, and we're just not using it. We're waiting for this. We're waiting for that. We don't even know where we live, half of us. We're only a small majority that know actually where we live. And it's just sad, man.
Oh my gosh, I've been talking this whole time. So the last thing I want to say real quick is, if y'all don't remember from the last video, this guy is very toxic and is very poor representation of the Christian faith. And I think that's why all the denominations are kind of created to put people in a box or get them to reject the whole narrative. But anyways, we have this, not only do we have the self-projection counter, but also if you go back to the beginning of the video, not this video, the previous video, the debate itself, Jonathan literally, Owen, as he's trying to start off the debate, says, hey, please both agree that we're not going to use ad hominems. We don't think the other person's evil because they believe a globe or they believe it in the true earth, etc. Can you agree with that? Not only could Jonathan not agree with that, the little gamma tendencies are shining. Not only could he not agree with that even to the very end, but he later on, shortly after, has to then he says, oh, and I'm going to paraphrase, oh, I had a prepared opening, but since we can't do ad hominems, I'm just going to go off my top of my head. It's like, dude, you literally, that's your priesthood. That's the priesthood that the Baptist church has, is that type of behavior. Like what, in my opinion, what Pharisees, what Sadducees. But okay, sorry guys, let's keep chugging.
Claim that all Christians have recognized the spherical earth for like centuries now. That's
Not all.
actually more of a
no. I wouldn't say all, because right now there's Christians that don't. I'm just saying that.
Right, and exactly.
I'm just saying that Christianity in large, there's lots of evidences and proofs of Christians believing in a spherical earth throughout history.
So why did they arrest Galileo for the? Is Witzett's mic still using? Is it working? Are you back? I'll pass it over to you as soon as you're back. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
No audio. Oh, no worries. Because the reference that, appeal to consensus is what you're doing. I didn't do it. I'm trying to be a nice person. But the whole everybody agrees with me, all Christianity agree. I mean, that's not
just because someone believed it was a sphere doesn't mean it's true. I'm not trying to say that.
Exactly.
That's not my argument.
And historically, the Catholic Church, which arrested and punished people for claiming it was not a geocentric Earth. Like, according to mainstream, none of us can know if Galileo even existed. I totally get that. But, to make the claim that Christianity has always backed the globe heliocentric isn't really an argument. I mean, I get it. I think flat earthers can be annoying, and, you don't know God unless you're a flat earther, and everyone's always been a flat earther. I get it, bro. I'm totally with you on that. But that argument, there is it's not really provable.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Word. By the way, just to clarify, I said the prophets.
You made a couple big points. One is the observations require a ball because the movement of the stars, when the light comes down, it's because of the spinning of the ball. Okay, you can address that and also address the historical nature of Christians all believing in the heliocentric model. Go ahead.
Yeah. So to clarify, I said the prophets and the authors of the scriptures adhered to Hebrew cosmology. That's a fact, right? So to invoke like 1600 interpretation, of course, the globe had started to, take over parts of the earth, actually, not all of it. But so that's all I was saying, is that the actual authors of the scriptures adhered to Hebrew cosmology, and that's pretty undeniable and actually not even disputed in the academic world at all. As for, I did kind of address what you followed up and said, and that what you're talking about is called sidereal rotation, and that's the stars rotating. And in your model, that the stars look like they're rotating around us, but it's just an illusion because we're rotating, making it look like they're moving. Okay, so they're just using sidereal rotation, and the ECF actually treats it like the stars are actually moving and that the Earth is fixed. That's why it's called Earth-centered, Earth fixed. If the Earth is in the center of the universe in any model, it can't be moving because everything's moving in relation to it. The stillman for your model is we just do that because it's simpler, it's easier, it's what it looks like for us on the Earth anyway. So we use that coordinate system. So just to clarify that there is nothing exclusive to the Earth spinning, and again, nothing exclusive to it being a ball. You can transform that over to a plane. It's just called a transform, and it would be ellipses over a plane, and it's a projection. So pretty simple stuff.
So do the stars move in the sky?
Great.
What'd you say?
Do we observe
Do
stars,
the stars
moving
move
in the sky?
Yeah, we see the stars move in the sky. Yeah, and you think that we don't?
So then your explanation of the Earth-centered Earth fix would make no sense, because the Earth-centered Earth fix is saying that it's in the exact same position all the time, which makes sense if the Earth is actually rotating. So we see the movement, but they're saying it's fixed on a specific point of the sphere. So there's a specific point of the sphere that starlight is hitting all the time, but even though the Earth is rotating, so we see movement, but it's hitting the sun, it's hitting the Earth at the exact same point. That's why you have an Earth center Earth fix model. You don't even understand what the model is explaining. So it's
you're
super
projecting,
clear.
man.
I'm not projecting. I'm just saying that's the point.
Sorry, I just don't even know what you're. I mean, this is. I want to be nice here, but
I won't. Let's add to the self-projection counter. Because that was indeed a rather large self-projection.
Did you stop it? Because it stopped playing, right?
Yes, I did stop it. I'm adding to the self-projection. Yes,
hello, Vader.
Yes, I did stop it. I'm adding it to the self-projection counter. So we're at 6 so far. Oh, messed it up. 1 second, let me fix that. Boom, done. Yeah, what a self-projection. Let's keep checking though.
Your own model.
I feel like this is all going great. I'm loving the lack of ad hominem. It's creeping up a little bit. What do you say we do 5-minute closing statements? We talk about if we learned anything. Do you guys want me to take questions from the chat, your Rumble chat? Or
we can take some questions.
Okay, so in the Rumble chat, I will check out the questions in between, cortisol chasing. And let's do 3 minutes. Let's do 3 minute. You guys each do a 3-minute closing statement. If any aspect of the other person's argument changed your opinion, because I think that's always good. We're always learning here in the world. And I also just personally want to say, I think everyone did great. Much love to your mother. I was just trying to make a point. I have nothing against your mom, obviously. All right. So since who went first? Austin went first? Yeah. Let's kick things off with Pastor Shelley doing 3 minutes closing argument if he learned anything or his points, to reiterate his points. Go ahead.
Just being honest, I do not feel like I learned anything new. I feel like the arguments for both sides are pretty well established, so I don't think that either side's probably ignorant of any of the points we were going to make. But I do believe there's thousands of proofs for a spherical Earth or a heliocentric model, or when we talk about the tilt of the Earth. And one of those is the fact that half the Earth is always lit up, which is not shown on a flat Earth model. The North Pole and the South Pole both have seasons with total daylight, which is observed by many different witnesses. There's plenty of videos of the sun never setting in the South Pole, which would for sure disprove the flat Earth view. There's an abundance of just witnesses in general of the spherical Earth when we talk about all the astronauts and the space programs and all the individuals involved with our specific viewpoint. There are literal videos and live streams from the ISS 24/7, where you can literally just watch the spherical Earth 24/7, live streams all the time. I guess they'd have to be faking all of that, which is thousands of hours of footage. The Earth's shadow on the moon is super clear. You can see this from different vantage points in different areas, and we can see the shape of the spherical Earth through the shadow on the moon from those eclipses. The predictions of the solar and lunar models also are compatible with the heliocentric model. The experiments from Eratosthenes can still be done today and could still get the exact same calculations of the circumference of the Earth. And if he did believe that the Earth was spherical and moving, that would just be proof that people already believed that at that time as well. You can sail across the sea. NASA has plenty of photos. You can go online right now and find non-fisheye lenses views of the spherical Earth. I could show you the images in the stream today. There's videos from other space programs, whether it be Dude Perfect, Red Bull, even SpaceX has plenty of other images and pictures of the spherical Earth. The seasons don't make sense on a flat Earth model. They only make sense on the tilted
only because you're ignorant and you have pre-programmed predictive program. You are literally a, what is that when they when you get abducted and you um uh I cannot, it's right on the tip of my
You
tongue.
might be muted, Vader.
No, I'm not me. I'm no, I'm not. But I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue when you're trying to like when I'm waiting for some. I'm kind of waiting for chat, but I'll ask you
Yeah,
when
but you
you
stopped the
get.
video and there was no sound at all.
Yeah,
So,
it's just I need to change it on Discord, but they can hear me. You couldn't hear me right then, but they could hear me.
oh,
It
all
it
right. Well, I
it,
need to
it
hear you so I can comment with you.
No, I know. I apologize. So what is that called when someone's like abducted, and then uh they like grow fond of the person who took them?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's
I cannot think of the term.
I can't think of the term either. I know what it is though. It's
I keep wanting to
complete.
say like
Not complete.
Sherlock or Holmes or
No, it's something syndrome. Something syndrome.
yeah.
Stockholm. Stockholm.
Stockholm. That's yeah, Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, it's like he literally has it where he starts defending the people who's lying to him, the people who are telling him these things that he is basically blindly following him because he thinks that, like, again, the amounts of times that he's self-projected, and again, my counter isn't even probably correct. I probably missed him just like Big Bear missed the ad hominem. uh,
Anomaly.
yeah, it's just all of his statements are ridiculous, and he just leans on the mental gymnastics, and goes from there. So, anyways, let's keep chugging.
Orbital model. When we talk about the path of the sun, we see it going up and down, which is the Bible describes. It doesn't get further away and come closer. Additionally, the Bible was literally sent to the moon. So the King James Bible is actually sent to the moon. And in Apollo 8 mission, they actually read Genesis 1 as soon as they went up into space, which I find really fascinating.
Oh, so
Leap years
fascinating.
are also another evidence of the fact of the heliocentric model. Construction of large bridges, the tops are actually further away than the bottoms. Stars are upside down. There's races around Antarctica. The Bible is compatible with these views, and I believe it's really just someone denying a lot of clear evidences when they have a flat earth view. I think that there's plenty of evidences out there, and I wish that people would appeal to true science and what the Bible says.
True science. Please explain to us what that means, Jonathan. I know you can't because I'm reviewing a debate that you had some time ago. But please explain
He's
that,
definitely
Jonathan.
Controlled. He's controlled, bro. He's looking at a monitor. He's controlled completely. It's sad.
It really is, dude. He can't. He
It's
just.
crazy.
Isn't it insane how they can just lean on it?
It's like they're begging people to believe in the globe now. It's basically that's what he sounds like. He's begging us. I wish you would just.
It's the true science, Frankie.
I don't have to do this.
But Frankie, it's the true science. Don't you understand, like Jonathan Shelley, that is the true science?
Look! If you flat earthers didn't exist, I wouldn't have to do this. like he's being paid.
Yeah, it's insane. All right, let's keep chugging.
Great. And we're also going to take questions in the chat. And, let's pivot a little bit. I have people text me saying they're loving this and we should go a little longer. So before we do Austin's closing and we take a couple more questions, there's one in the chat from Dread Matt. How do we see the same constellation 6 months from now if on a globe you'd be facing 180 degrees than you are now? I don't fully understand the question, but hopefully you guys do. You want me to go to the next one? Do you guys get that
I think
one?
Austin's got to give his closing, right? We give him opportunity to give.
Okay, real quick. I know I just stopped, but I'm gonna let Owen reiterate the question because I think this is such a good question, and I think that I think Owen here should have asked this question after. He should have re-asked this question after Austin does his closing. So because he doesn't, I'm gonna go back just a few clicks. We're gonna watch it again, and then we're gonna talk about it.
How do we see the same constellation 6 months from now if on a globe you'd be facing 180 degrees than you are now?
Oops. Okay, so real quick, I'm pulling something up, so bear with me. But I'm gonna pull up just a 2D image of the so-called solar system, and we're gonna talk about this question that he just asked. It's going. Come on. It's going so slow. Give me 1 second, everyone. Oh my gosh, it's going so slow. I apologize for the dead air, guys. Give me, I almost have it. It's just for whatever reason, it is going so slow. And I have great internet. I have a great connection. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull this up real quick. Okay, so y'all can see my cursor. Okay, so what he is saying here. That's what. So insane that it takes that long for it to pull up, like just on the side here. But here in this picture, and we can, as I'm talking, we can wait for it to pull up over here. But in this, okay, here we go. So in the, didn't make it that much bigger. Okay, so in this picture, Earth right here. So when we're looking out in the night sky, so this is, let's say this is us, and this is actually, so this is daytime. But during this period of the year, we're looking at nighttime, we're looking this way. Let me actually, I'm going to do something real quick. Copy image. I'm going to bring up paint. And I'm going to bring it in there so I can kind of, it may have, a lot of y'all already may. Okay, so basically, let's get red. So basically at night during this time of year, you're seeing this part, and if it was over here, you would be seeing this part of the night sky, and if it was over here, you'd be seeing this part of the night sky. So over here 6 months later, you're looking at night this way at the night sky. So how can you see any same stars that are over here, what you do? You see constellations in the summer that you see during the winter. That makes zero sense on a globe. They literally can't explain that. They just say, they basically explain it away by saying it's so far away, it just appears that way. Isn't it weird how all of their evidences and their really powerful convictional statements are all based upon things that are so big or so far that it's unprovable to anyone, let alone their own selves that just easily believe it? It's literally unverifiable, unfalsifiable. It's a statement that they can just make and believe, and boom, we win. It's preposterous. Alrighty, let's get back to the other one, and I feel like that didn't get justice in the stream, so I wanted to show that. All right, let's keep going.
I don't fully understand the question, but
Opportunity to give closing statement.
so let's do that. People don't love me. Some people are saying that I am a real piece of shit. But in
Sorry
general,
for the
I think
weak
this
language.
is going. I think this is going really well. All right, Austin, go ahead. 3 minutes. Go.
So I'm actually going to run through some of the stuff you just said because respectfully, what always happens is someone can go Google ways we know the Earth is not flat, and then they'll just kind of repeat these arguments. But what happens is if you look further into each one of them, similar to the JQ, you'll find out that, well, when you get more evidence, you understand more things. So the ISS is not 24/7. It cuts off all the time. We've caught them faking tons of things. You brought up other space agencies. I actually just saw a video today of the China Space Agency showing the Earth, and it was completely flat horizon. Completely flat. So now all of a sudden, I'm guessing we'll throw China out or it won't count. Felix Baumgartner showed the curve of the Earth he wasn't anywhere close to space. He was only like 180,000 feet up. You wouldn't see the curvature of the Earth in your model from there anyway. Admittedly, it was literally a GoPro sponsorship. Shadows of eclipses actually debunked the globe model because if it was a geometric alignment of three spheres, which is called a syzygy, then as the sphere moves in front of the other one and casts a shadow onto a third spherical object, the shadow actually goes from being a circle to an oval back to a circle. It actually takes a partial S wave. You can replicate this basic geometry. It's because the shadow isn't distributed evenly because the surface that the shadow's on is curving and part of it's further away from the other part. So you can't even replicate those eclipses with three spherical objects. You would have an S-wave shaped shadow. So the eclipses actually debunk it, as do selenilian eclipses where the sun and moon are both above the Earth during the eclipse, which is a geometric impossibility. I covered the eclipse predictions. It goes back to 2500 BC. It isn't exclusive to the Earth being a globe. That's a flat Earth civilization. We, again, go to adl.place. You can see everything mapped out. And then Eratosthenes, you brought that back up, but I explicitly explained that that isn't exclusive to a spherical Earth. You can do the same thing on a plane Earth. If it's a local light source, a local sun on a plane, you get different angle shadows as well. You have to assume the Earth's a sphere, assume that there's a distant sun, assume the parallel light rays coming from that sun, and then do the math with that assumption. Dude Perfect, whenever they supposedly sent these private trips up to space, one of the passengers came back and said, I thought we were going to be high enough to really see like the Earth and everything, but we obviously weren't. And it's a glorified vomit comet. Basically, they float for like a couple minutes. I can go do that in a plane. Nothing special about that. And actually, the Bible says the sun goes in and out is actually what it says. And so I think I have about 30 seconds. Yeah. So I'll just finish by saying this. I know this sounds crazy, and I get it, but I can assure you that the people that say that the Earth is flat, it wasn't because they wanted to. They fought it. It was uncomfortable. No one wants to publicly state it. Just diligently search out the truth. I have no beef with you if you don't think it, but just go look for the evidence. You may be surprised. And we can't just blindly hand our worldview over to people that hate us. So I encourage everyone to look a little further. You may be surprised.
Okay, so chat, I will take your questions, and Pastor Shelley, you've earned it. Let's take off the ad hominem cuffs. If you want to.
What was that, Frankie B?
I can't hear you. That was a good closing by Austin.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he hammered so many points, definitely against Jonathan Shelley's statements. And yeah, I agree.
I like the part where he said we didn't just jump into this and totally agree. It was painstaking. We had to do the research. And,
dude, I feel like I literally went through the grieving process. Like I
really didn't. I figured, I made a pact with God years ago. Whatever the Bible says, I'll believe it. And then once I started looking into the information and I realized it was in the Bible, I was like, hey, that's what he says. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. All right, let's keep chugging.
Talk a little shit. Let's do it.
Weak language.
Because that was extremely enjoyable. Chat, ask direct questions. Don't get me wrong. This framed as a question might. So Owen moderates about as well as he denies being a homosexual. You see, that's That's not a question. That, and I know some of you guys are like, he won't address the chat. Why is Owen so gay? Again, we're doing a flat Earth debate.
I actually have proof, guys, that he is gay. In fact, I know I'm a bear, but I gotta mock Owen just a little bit because he is so prideful in his uncutness, and so I'd like to say I've never seen a man so attached to the skin of a wiener than Owen, and that's pretty gay. You gotta pay it away, Owen. All right, let's keep going.
And so if you have a question for Pastor Shelley, I'm sorry if I said Anderson. I'm literally retarded. I've been up since like 5 a.m. If you have a direct question, just put it in the chat and ask a question. This debate is not about me and whether or not I'm secretly a gay. Here we go. North Pole is the center. So if anyone has any questions.
So you're saying it's possible.
What? That it's a globe, or that I'm secretly a homo?
That
I'm secretly a homo? Not possible. But I do understand why sometimes people think that. I'm really good at the piano, and, sometimes I dress very oddly. All right. What do we got here? Owen, please have Austin explain Genesis 1:20 and the face of the firmament translated as in the open firmament in the KJV. Austin, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, the KJV is consistently translated with, certain biases. If you go look at the actual Hebrew, it says like upon the face of the firmament. That's what it says. You can go look it up, and you can just use Bible Hub for that, right? Bible Hub, go look it up. So yeah, basically it's saying that you see the birds upon the face of what's up above it, the firmament. So if properly translated, it is not what it says in KJV, and perfectly comports with the rest of the description, which is that there's a physical container over the earth called the firmament.
Is there a Bible?
Pastor, would you like to respond? And bear in mind, ad hominem's open now, so don't be afraid.
Yeah, is there a Bible version you would say this is accurate?
I read what's called the Scriptures version, but I don't think, I think men are fallible, right? I also don't think you have to get everything perfectly right or the Creator hates you. But I use stuff like Bible Hub. I think it's very convenient. We have the internet. You can go look at the original languages, see all the different translations. I think that the Greek Septuagint is much more reliable. It seems like some Jewish people got a hold of things and changed it. And anyway, no, I wouldn't say there's a infallible translation in English. No, certainly not.
Do you speak Hebrew or Greek?
No, but that's
well. Before we get into that, Pastor Sally, we have a really good question here. If Owen is not a queer, why does he act and dress like one? Can anyone answer that?
Real quick. No,
that is a good question.
I love this guy.
No,
okay, real quick.
I wouldn't say there's a infallible
So what he? Okay, wait. Let's finish that off.
Translation in English? No, certainly not.
Do you speak Hebrew or Greek?
Do you speak Hebrew or Greek? It's like, oh, so if you don't fluently speak a language, you can't look at the words and look at their dictionaries of what those words mean and compare those words and where they're used in Scripture. Pastor Kelly, you can't do that? Is that sola scriptura? It's so preposterous, the statements that he's making. Austin, do you speak Hebrew? Do you speak Greek? Bro, the English language has changed in the past 100 years, the words we use. So even the pronunciation of words has changed. So to sit there and say, do you know how to speak those, modern languages makes zero sense because the way that they sound now isn't the way they sound. And furthermore, I'm not going to keep ranting, but, dear Pastor Kelly, please.
No, but that's...
Well, before we get into that, Pastor Sally, we have a really good question here. If Owen is not a queer, why does he act and dress like one? Can anyone answer that?
That is a good question.
Well,
all right. Does anyone know if it's
cover pretty good, making babies as a cover, I guess.
I just think it's so funny that people are like, so if you're not a homo, then what's up with all right. Does anyone know if it's a sin to listen to flat earth nonsense? I'm pretty sure this falls under thoughts of foolishness. Pastor Shelley, is it a sin to listen to flat earth nonsense?
Well, the Bible says the thought of foolishness is a sin, so any stupid thought would be a sin. And if the earth is a sphere,
The fool on the hill is sitting perfectly still, but the can you finish it, Frankie?
which is my position, then believing it's not would be stupid.
Did you want to finish it?
Nah, that's not.
Okay, sorry.
It would be idiotic, and I've preached that many times over because I don't want people to subscribe to things that are stupid. The Bible says the simple believeth every word, and I don't want people to believe stupid things. I don't want people to discredit the Bible or Christianity or conspiracy theories.
Mute yourself,
and
brother.
I feel like this specific movement denies a lot of reality, and so it is stupid. I feel like a lot of people that are flat earthers usually smoke pot and do a lot of hallucinogenic drugs, and it's probably just a result of that.
Okay, Citizen Lens with a super chat. I will put those above the.
What a statement, dude. What a statement. He's so arrogant and prideful. It's preposterous.
The other ones.
What?
They said we're drug addicts.
Yeah,
We smoke pot and we just sit around and talk about the flat earth.
yeah, we just do hallucinogens all day, every day. We have that's why we see. That's why the radius value. That's why that's refraction, dude. That's where refraction comes from. Is because we're all doing hallucinogens, and so when we're looking at we're seeing too far, it's just because we're hallucinating. Boom. Pastor Kelly bringing it.
You're contributing a little bit to the pastor's flock. Does Shelley believe the pictures of the dark side of the moon are real? Why is
brother.
the Earth so much larger in frame compared to the moon than the Earth photoed from the surface of the moon itself?
Yeah, I know what they're bringing up. So specifically, there's a picture from, I believe, Apollo 8 mission where it's essentially got that iconic half Earth view, and then it's just kind of showing the little bit of the surface of the moon. And then they have a really scaled out framed view where they show like a much larger Earth and moon. But again, that's just simply perspective because the moon got a lot bigger as well in that particular frame. So it's really, there's no problem whatsoever. They're just not understanding perspective or where the picture was taken from. Obviously, if you take
Self-projection! Add one to the counter. Yes, Jonathan Shelley has again self-projected on his knowledge.
They should have brought up that there's no actual images from space, that it's all cartoon drawings.
And just so coincidentally, I don't know if you know this, but the half spherical iconic thing that he was talking about is the exact same one as they're halfway to the moon, remember? And we saw that they were faking those images with inserts into the window. That's been seen so many times. So, yeah, look into it a little bit there more, Shelly boy.
take a more zoomed out view, the Earth is going to get larger.
Okay. Owen, please have
focus.
Pastor Shelley answer how the Earth can be orbiting the sun if the Earth was made day 1 and the sun day 4. Joshua, sun stopped. Isaiah, sun moved backwards. Why do you think the prophets of the Bible did not say the Earth moved, and they said the sun moved? And how did the Earth revolve around something that hadn't been created yet? What say you?
I would say the first question that the Earth was not orbiting the sun before it was created. So I don't believe that it would have been, obviously. And then secondly,
What do you mean? The heliocentric model is it is required that the sun was produced first in order for the earth to come to existence. You can sit there all day and say, well, I don't believe that, but the model that you believe in requires that, Shelley. You literally don't understand what you're even talking about. And you say it with such pride and arrogance. It's literally cringy. It really is.
Bring it up in Joshua where the sun and the moon.
Pause it. He's literally cringing at having to do this. It's like he's completely paid just to do this. And he really doesn't want to do it. You can see it in his mannerisms. You know what I mean? And the way he's talking.
Well, I think he's talking as if it's beneath him.
Or either that, or it's like he just really doesn't want to do these debates. And he must be getting a hefty paycheck to do them because from somebody, not Ellen, but.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, dude, to me it's like he feels like it's so foolish, it's so beneath him that it really doesn't need any real investigation because it's obvious. And I think that's what I think it is. I think it's that and pride and arrogance. But real quick, okay, so he's about to talk about what happened in Joshua, right? But look, okay, let's go. Let's just keep going.
Good still. Specifically, it says that the moon was in the valley of Ajalon. And I, of course, would have subscribed this as being a miracle. It doesn't matter what model you have. It's obviously a miracle because God even said specifically there was no day like it before or after.
Where the moon stopped. There wasn't a day before it or after it where the moon stopped. That's where that it stopped, that the moon and the sun stopped for one day. Okay? He literally ignores then Isaiah where the sun where the sun and the moon go backward and then forward through that whole thing. So that his whole idea of that it's a miracle, and see, that's so easy for them to do. It's more mental gymnastics. It's literally him saying like, it doesn't matter whether we're on a globe or whatever, because for instance, with Joshua, it stopped. Yeah, there would be a 1,000 mile an hour wind shear. Oh, oops. That's the miracle. Oh, but it would never happen again. But yet, in Isaiah, not only is there a 1,000 mile an hour wind shear when it stops to start going the other way, but then there's another 1,000 mile where the sun goes backwards. But so not only does it stop, but then it goes the other way. The earth starts spinning the other way at 1,000 miles an hour. And then again, stop. It literally is preposterous.
Spherical heliocentric viewpoint, all God would have had to do was simply just stop the rotation of the earth, and the sun and the moon would have stopped as far as their movement specifically. So, of course, this would be a miracle. If God stopped the rotation of the earth for a 24-hour period of time, both the moon and the sun would have stood still as far as their respective positions to the earth. So there's no problem with that, except for obviously it's a miracle. There's no way to describe this as a natural phenomenon.
But why do you think they didn't say that? But why do you think they didn't say that the earth stopped spinning, though? Why would they say the sun stopped?
Well, it's an earthbound perspective. So everything's from an earthbound perspective. So the sun stopped as far as its circuit around the earth from an earthbound perspective or viewpoint. It doesn't really matter how you want to word it. It's just from everybody's perspective. If I'm in a car and I'm moving and someone's standing outside of the car, I have my perspective in the car and I'm moving towards them. And from their perspective, they're standing at rest. So, you could look at it from two different angles. If they slam on the
wouldn't
brakes,
they say the car stopped? Like, would they say the tree stopped moving if you stopped the car?
You could say it any way.
You
could say it from either perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. All right. How do you explain? I don't know. This is true. This is two, but Preston throws in a fiver, so he gets a little priority. Even though a lot of people want to know why I suck so bad. How do you explain the phenomenon of star trails in long-term exposure photographs, which show circular patterns centering around the South Pole, as this directly debunks the flat Earth model? Austin, what say you?
Yeah, I explained that earlier. It can be replicated with like a dome, and basically just reflecting out. You also see crepuscular and anti-crepuscular rays. It takes some explaining, but like the sun can set in the west, and this is wild. And so you'll see the sun setting in the west, and then there will be rays converging on the horizon in the east at the same time, looking like there's a sun, like a light source over there. That's because that's how our perspective works. It literally has a limit. We have a limit in all directions. Basically, we have a dome of vision, and everything towards the edge of that starts to converge and compress. And so it's literally a real thing called crepuscular and anti-crepuscular rays. So you can't really deny that it happens. And if that was going to be applied to the sky over top of a plain Earth, it'd be the same thing. And again, when they claim that it's going south, actually, they use major magnetic declination corrections. On the globe, it needs to be directly south that we're seeing it, right? But why do we have to correct 150 degrees, 80 degrees, 90 degrees to claim that we're seeing it in the south? So it's not exclusive to a globe Earth. I do get that if you believe the corrections are correct, you'd be like, oh, isn't that convenient? It matches the globe. It doesn't until you correct the cardinal direction with declination, and it can be explained with vision, like crepuscular and anti-crepuscular rays. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. Any response? Good, Pastor. I'm trying to find more.
Yeah, that was
more good
really
questions.
stupid. And of course, the Earth is orbiting the sun, and
That was really stupid. Of course, obviously, of course, the Earth is revolving around the sun. Wait, let's hear it again. Let's just hear that self-projection.
Okay. Any response? Good, Pastor. I'm trying to find more.
yeah, that was
more good
really
questions.
stupid. And of course, the Earth is orbiting the sun.
Of course,
and so
of course.
That's why you have
Of
to make
course,
certain
Pastor
adjustments
Kelly.
to when you look at these things. But like the commenter said, obviously, the view of these stars in the South Pole totally disproves the flat Earth.
Dude, the orbit in the sun has nothing to do with magnetic declination corrections, bro.
Austin, what is your answer as far as their ability?
Oh no. Okay, sorry. Let me fix that, guys. I apologize. I got too excited. Oh dang, where was I? Let me play with this a little bit, guys. I apologize. Let me hear where this is at.
We get points for that. That means you're probably saying something based, right? That's cool. What do you think about the fact that the
There's another one. This is for the pastor. Bible Matrix said he used a compass to draw a circle by 1/6 when it says that.
directions on the globe, it needs to be directly south that we're
Circuit around.
Owen, please
Let's just
have
focus.
Pastor Shelley answer. Shelley, we have a really good question here. Explain Genesis 1:20 and the face of the.
upon the face
I
of
apologize,
the firmament.
everyone.
That's what it's. Well,
Oh.
I think men are fallible, right? I don't.
That's like one. Can anyone answer that?
Like a lot of people, that first question that the Earth was not orbiting the sun before it was created. So
Over there. That's because that's how our perspective, that convenient and match.
North.
who's the question for? That's
wait.
why you have to make certain adjustments.
50 degrees, 80 degree thing. And again, when they claim that it's going south, over there.
I
That's because that's how our
apologize.
perspective works. It literally has a limit. We have a limit in all directions. Basically, we have a. So you can't. They use major magnetic decking in this till you.
Okay. Any response?
Okay,
Good, Pastor?
here it
I'm
is.
trying to find more.
Yeah, that was
More good
really
questions.
stupid. And of course, the Earth is orbiting the
Of
sun,
course.
and so that's why you have to make certain adjustments to when you look at these things. But like
Mental
these commentators
gymnastics!
said, obviously, the view of these stars in the South Pole totally disproves the flat Earth.
Dude, the orbit in the sun has nothing to do with magnetic declination corrections, bro.
It has to do with the observation of stars, which was what the question was about.
He
of
does-
course, you're
he-
strong
We have
man,
another
Justin.
solid we have another question from Bobby O. Jimbo. How do flat earthers explain Ecclesiastes 1:6 when it says that wind goes around the earth towards the south, then back to the north?
Who's the question for?
I'm guessing Austin because it contradicts
Yeah, I think it's
flat earth.
for Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would that be a problem? I mean, all the evidence actually shows that we're basically in a torus field. So if you actually look at the paths of the planets, they all make a perfect torus field geometry, the flower of life that we see everywhere. And so there would be a central portion that's a vortex, right? And so you would have a patterns moving in and out and relative to the torus field. That's actually what we see when we map out the magnetic flux data. That's what we see with the wind patterns mapped out on the Earth. We actually see them all moving around in the vortex motion. So that's no problem. Actually, I would say that the problem is where it says that the winds come from the ends of the earth and it's the windiest place on the earth, and that there are corners where angels have something to do with the wind would be a problem. So people really like to pick and choose where the Bible is literally talking about the earth, apparently. But anyway, the north-south thing works perfectly on a plane earth. So
There's another one. This is for the pastor. Bible Matrix said he used a compass to draw a circle upon the face of the earth. Face equals flat. Spheres have 0 faces. And then he says something mean about the pastor that I'll skip because I'm still following the ad hominem thing. Job 38:14 is an analogy. That's not exactly a question, but you did super chat. Okay, Pastor, can you please name which Baptist confession of faith states you must believe in one another as shape of the earth in order to be baptized? You're mistaken about what a heresy is, Pope Shelley. Ooh, that's very aggressive.
So there's not a confession that subscribes to that. So it's just a straw man argument. But specifically, I do have a doctrinal statement on our website. It doesn't bring up the flat earth. I would never throw somebody out of church for believing in the flat earth. But I would take offense to anybody teaching false doctrine. And if someone's teaching a bunch of heresy and told not to teach that, then they may be excommunicated from church. But that's the point of church. Church should be a group of people that all agree and have similar viewpoints. Otherwise, it's not a church. It's just a club or something. So
if someone was teaching a different view of the clay seal.
Okay, so literally think about what he just said. He said, unless everyone at the church believes the exact same thing and makes a creed, a statement of an oath, right? A swearing, basically, that these things that are true. Think about what he's actually asking the people that attend his church or watch his videos. Think about what he's asking. He's saying you got to make these commitments. You got to make these oaths. You got to swear these words in order to be a part of this club. And then he says, if you have a group of people, and I see Circle of the Earth Fellowship, this channel, this group, this Discord, etc., I see that we are a group of people that come together. We don't have to all agree on the exact same doctrines and eschatologies and timelines. We don't have to all agree that. We agree that we're brothers and sisters, and that we should diligently seek after the Father and after the Son, and we should come to know them as best as that we can on this earth, and all of the in the whole cat and caboodle. That being said, it's just, his statements are just so, oh man, I don't want to, I shouldn't comment anymore.
Or some of these other interpretations, you would kick them out of the church.
If someone was going around to all of my church members trying to tell them that they believe the earth is flat, and I kind of addressed it with them and said, hey, that's not what we believe here. And you can't, go around just teaching people all this stuff, and they continue doing that, then yes, I would potentially throw them out of church, but that wouldn't be limited to that.
Sounds kind of cultish.
Viewpoint. Well, if you don't have any doctrinal integrity, then you don't have a church. I mean, what's the point of having a church?
says, to the pastor God, oh, that's insulting. I'm trying not to be insulting.
Hey, Owen, can I say something real quick? I just want to know what he thinks about this real quick, because this is like the elephant in the room for me, right? So you guys call it Zionism. We're on page there. ADL attacks you. You automatically get points for that. That means you're probably saying something based, right? That's cool. What do you think about the fact that the MMX showed that the earth wasn't moving, and then they bring in Einstein, who gives Jewish mysticism to the world and says that time slows down and the ruler contracted, but looks like it's the same size. Trust me, bro. And it made the earth look like a stationary. It's Jewish mysticism saying that the creator created a giant illusion to deceive us into the earth being stationary. Do you actually believe that?
Well, to address your earlier part of the question, first of all, you kind of claim that this Hebrew cosmology or these Jews believe that the earth was flat, and then you get mad about other Jews. So it seems inconsistent. I don't really care about Einstein because people believed in the spherical earth before Einstein ever even came into existence. Yeah, of course, I believe that the modern day Jews are the synagogue of Satan and that they lie about all kinds of different things. But the vast majority of Jews today probably believe that the earth is a sphere. I would assume that most of them probably would subscribe to that. When it comes to all of the things that Einstein said, I don't really know. It doesn't really matter to me. Special relativity is claimed to be evidenced consistently in satellites falling towards Earth. So, I don't have any reason to doubt that claim. So perhaps it's true. Again, it doesn't really matter to me because it's infinitesimal measurements that you have to approach the speed of light to really even have a dramatic effect of special relativity. But when it comes to Jews, it's not like just because someone's ethnically a Jew, they're wrong about everything literally.
That's not what I was saying, man. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he came in and he came up with some crazy mystic story, and that's why it was dismissed by the Germans and the Austrians.
He's copying Hendrik Lorentz, though. So, it's not even necessarily...
used an ether model, but it didn't work. I'm just going to say, you're wrong about a lot of the stuff you're saying. Special relativity isn't about orbits falling. No, that's general relativity. Special relativity is about straight paths, not in the presence of gravitational fields. I was just wondering what you think about the fact that your belief has to think that the creator made it. So when we try to measure the earth moving, time slows down, but looks like it stayed the same. And the measuring apparatus contracted, but looks like it stayed the same so that it'll look like the earth is stationary. That's what Einstein did after he stole like 30 different pieces of work and put it together. So I didn't know if you knew that's what you believe or not.
He procreated with his cousin. He had a child with his cousin.
Well, just to be clear, you just said that special relativity...
have sex with her daughter.
You said special relativity has nothing to do with
satellites.
Yeah,
he did. He had sex with his
That's
cousin
provably wrong. Special relativity is proof. If you just look up the Wikipedia article, they will tell you time dilation is experienced by satellites falling to the Earth. If you just read what they say, so whether or not you,
it's Wikipedia.
Theory, I'm not saying that
Wikipedia.
It's right. I'm just saying that that's what they say, and you just told. You said
I
that
know
I'm lying
all about it. It's called atomic clocks. There's cell degradation that has anisotropic degradation because they use magnetic fields to realign the oscillation rate. I'm just saying, research this stuff, man. Just reading a sentence on Wikipedia. What's a lie?
You lied because
satellites are about atomic clocks, and what they do is they have 9 billion little oscillations per second. Special relativity and
time dilation is claimed to be observed on satellites falling towards Earth.
And the way they claim that is with atomic clocks. Okay, so when you actually go research it, the first test that was supposedly going to verify it showed that it didn't match relativity's prediction, and it changed in both directions, both east and west, and they still don't have an answer for that, and they make relativistic transform corrections for it. So just reading a sentence off Wikipedia doesn't tell you the truth of the subject. I've been forced to get all nerdy and research a million things because of stuff like that. What the story you're saying isn't true. So now I have to go read all the history and say it all the time. It's really lame.
I was just pointing out what they claim. That's all that's the only point I was making. And you basically said that what Wikipedia is saying isn't really on Wikipedia or something. It's just bizarre.
All right, it's all good.
No, I was just saying that Wikipedia isn't a valid. You're not allowed to use Wikipedia in school. All right, Mac and Jack 33 says, to the pastor, God states explicitly in Psalm 93:1, the earth cannot be moved. Yet you say we're flying 1,000,000 miles per hour through space. Did God not know his own creation worked until man corrected him? That's a question about Psalm 93:1. Again, these are not my personal opinions. I don't even understand what's happening.
Yeah. No,
go ahead, Pat.
That's great. So this is on that chart specifically that we brought up, Psalm 93, verse 1. And it says in the King James, the Lord reigneth, he is clothed with majesty, the Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also established that it cannot be moved. So in Psalm 93, verse 1, it says the world. And another one if you pull up that chart, if you see the very next psalm they have in reference is Psalm 96, verse 10. And Psalm 96, verse 10 clarifies this because it says, say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth, the world also shall be established that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. And if you skip down to verse 13, it says, before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness and the people with his truth. So, of course, when the Bible says, for God so loved the world, it's not talking about the planet. It's talking about the people. So many times these references are very clearly talking about the people of the earth, the people of the world, or just people in general. And it clarifies in the Psalm specifically. So yes, I do believe this. And the Bible talks about the world fearing, the earth fearing. That's not talking about the planet fearing. That's talking about these people specifically. So people are just taking the wrong interpretation of these particular verses and then claiming that I'm somehow ignorant of them. But if you actually compare scripture with scripture and you look at it, it's just talking about the people. There's no problem here. And specifically the earth, it moving, there's plenty of verses that literally say that the earth is moving. There are verses that literally say the earth moved exceedingly. So these people are cherry picking verses. And when we actually look up other references, the Bible talks about it moving.
Like earthquakes, though? Is it like earthquakes are moving, or is it like spinning?
Both. Well, it's not talking about it spinning. I wouldn't say that there's a verse that I could point to that says that specifically. But I'm just saying they're cherry picking verses that claim it never moves in any capacity, whereas the Bible does bring up the fact that the earth moves. And when there's the great white throne judgment, the Bible says that the heaven and the earth fly away. So, there's plenty of evidence
from its previous stationary place, bro.
Well, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that the
All right, let's move on. We got more. Real Rife technology. This is big. Austin, the LGBT supports a globe earth model. In your opinion, does that make Pastor Shelley a gay?
It's a pretty compelling argument. I'll have to think about it for a second.
I've heard all day. Yeah. So what's your call on that one? I mean, it sounds pretty legit.
I think you made
to
a
me.
lot of babies too, right? You got a bunch of children, right?
I have 6.
Yeah, he's got a family.
Congratulations, man! You're crushing in that sense. So I'm all for it.
Well,
okay. Does the pastor have the?
As much as Owen Benjamin is just kind of a prick at the beginning of the show, we do have a lot of people watching. So thank you for, I guess being a prick or whatever it is that causes people to watch the show.
Well, you got to admit, I haven't been a prick during the. Like, I was getting a little intense in the beginning. I apologize if I was too intense. I was just really trying to have a productive debate. And I think it kind of paid off a little. And, I feel like we're having a good time, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make fun of flat earthers during the debate. But I see the point in just.
No, now you can, though.
Literally, this guy is a pastor, and he is calling Owen Benjamin that word over and over, even though he would not agree to, even though at least in behaviorally he did somewhat, he would not verbally agree to not using ad hominems, and he had previously set up an opening, set up a scripted opening that had homonyms that he couldn't use. What a joke! What a joke of a pastor.
Now it's open.
Of course.
But hey, Pastor Shelley, don't you think it's funny that like the flat earthers always know way more about everything?
I've never experienced that. In fact, most of the flat earthers I've met have been some of the most wicked, evil people I've ever met in my life. They're criminals. They steal. They do drugs. Like, I'm not saying that that's representative of all flat earthers because that would be an unfair characteristic. But I am saying that the people that I know in my personal life, they're some of the worst people I've ever met. Not saying that that's
90% of the most evil people I've ever met all were Globers.
Sure.
That wasn't my point. I said that the flat earthers are way more informed. Can you admit that we research way more of this stuff? And isn't it interesting that there's one side that researched a lot of it and then didn't want to let go of the globe and get made fun of, and they kind of had to do so once they really researched, and then the other side just assumes that they're stupid, mocks them, ridicules them, but doesn't look into it? Don't you think that's a weird dynamic?
No, because I find that most people that are flat earthers do not research, and they deny reality, and they're delusional. So, like, I met a flat earther, or there's a flat earther that was a pastor. He said that he understood the truth about this, and then he ended up claiming that he's literally Jesus Christ. And his name's Tyler Doka. You can go look at his website right now. He literally claims he's Jesus Christ. So I've not found that these flat earthers research well, understand reality, or the world we live in. I think that it's a strong delusion and a punishment for being gullible.
Okay, everyone should watch The Principle and learn about what's going on. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Headstrong says, does the pastor have the authority to deem things outside the confession of faith heretical? What about deeming things within the confession of faith heretical? Ooh.
Well, again, I believe in a pastor-led church, so I do believe that the pastor has authority. Otherwise, the title's meaningless. that doesn't mean that the church.
Vader. Yeah, he's right.
Get closer. Get closer.
He's right about that guy Tyler. It's a shame because he is a flat earther and he does have he's done a lot of good research on certain topics, but he does claim himself to be Jesus Christ. Which
Well, what's interesting about that is Jonathan here uses him as an example, right? When we would all say, yeah, he is also a paid shill as well, and he's basically pointing the finger at him because we know that this guy, already said like, hey, if you don't believe what I believe, and go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. I hear you on that one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Of course, he uses that example, and we could give you tons of quote unquote Christians that have been claimed to be quote unquote a savior, a Messiah, Jesus.
Isn't going to hold the pastor accountable for his viewpoints or their agreed upon creed or confession. I mean, generally speaking, my church subscribes to and agrees with my doctrinal statement. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. And if I stepped outside of that, if I actually had Austin's view on the Bible, they would throw me out literally because I don't adhere to the King James Bible or the Word of God or the inspiration of Scripture. So, it's not like it's just my personal opinion that people are adhering to. We all have an agreed upon viewpoint. That's what a church is. It's not people of certain ethnicity or 5 minutes away from their house. It's people that all have the exact same worldview and opinion of Scripture, and we have a core doctrinal statement that we all subscribe to. So, it's just a bunch of straw men to assume like, oh, whatever Pastor Shelley's opinion is, people are going to do that. If I changed my viewpoint, if I became a flat earther or said that, I'm sure half my church would leave immediately, if not most all of it. If I deny the King James Bible. So you definitely don't have
any emotional bias in this at all.
Well, that would be silly to say that I don't hold unpopular opinions. I mean, I've said I preached against flat earth and lost people from my church, and I've specifically preached plenty of things that cause protests, lawsuits. We've been evicted. I'm probably the most canceled person that I even know. I'm on a credit card blacklist. Yeah, but
flat earth would just be one step too far. Don't you agree? Like it's
I don't
different.
care. I would preach flat earth if it was true. I don't really care.
Right,
I have
cool,
no
brother.
personal.
I'm gonna give Pastor Shelley a little props. From my perspective. He does seem to believe it. It doesn't seem like he's lying. And I do understand people that don't want to bicker a ton in church. Like our homeschool group just doesn't debate a ton of stuff, and I love that. So I'm not just going to immediately say that there's something wrong with that. I'm just
I agree with that. But you're pretty aggressive against flat earthers. That's the difference, right? Like just saying, oh, let's not talk about it's a little different.
Well, I'm talking about it.
I agree with the general sentiment. What?
I'm talking about it right now.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all okay. You are obviously quite aggressive.
Sure. I'm definitely very aggressive, and I'm very hostile towards that view. But here's the thing. I don't want people to believe stupid things. Like, I don't want people to get COVID shots. I don't want people to vaccinate their children. I don't want people to commit abortion. I don't want people to think that men can turn into women. Like, I'm going to be hostile towards things that I think are not true.
Yeah, you believe that, but this is what I think the same thing. You believe that everything in the world is backwards, that the creator made this place to trick you where everything's the opposite of what we experience. And then you probably don't even know, right, that mainstream astronomy and astrophysicists will tell you that the earth could be in the center of the universe and there's a kinematic and dynamic equivalence and you can never disprove it. We just don't like that idea of being special. And I could quote every mainstream, most famous physicist ever knows that, but the general public doesn't know that. Right? You don't know that. You probably think that's not true. I must be wrong. The earth can be in the center and special, and they're lying. And so I would say, I think that has significant implications, right? Like if you think everything's backwards, that's how they did COVID. They're like, no, the air that keeps you alive is going to kill you. And even though people are healthy, they're sick. And when you can't trust your senses and find the truth yourself, you have to turn to authority and you become enslaved. So I think that's the reason that this is pretty important.
I don't feel enslaved
at all. The Amish
potato. I mean, when it comes to the biblical viewpoint, I don't think God's tricking us at all. The Bible is clear that the sun, moon, and stars were made for the seasons and for the times. And it's clear that's what we get our calendar from. The year is from an orbit of the Earth around the sun. We have a day because of the rotation of the Earth. We have a month, generally speaking, because of the moon's orbit, and that's how the original Hebrew calendar was calculated. And on a flat Earth model, none of those things even exist anymore. It's arbitrary what's a year or a day. And we, of course, get the week from the creation week, the 7 days. So all of our calendar has been based on those specific cosmological viewpoints. God is not tricking anyone. You can see the sun rise in the east and set in the west, which is telling you either one of two things. Either A, we're spinning, or B, that's spinning around us. But if the sun were moving around us in that way, the sides of the earth would not get this daylight that we observe. Plus, you'd have things breaking the speed of light, considering how far that they are away. And so, there's no trick here. It's really simple. It's really easy to understand that the Bible and this viewpoint, heliocentrism or the spherical earth, are compatible with Scripture. And I wish that people would subscribe to the King James Bible because I believe it's word perfect. It's God's word. He gave it to us, and it doesn't have any mistakes. And if you read it clearly, it's not going to lead you to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay, Citizen Lens. Citizen Lens says, does the pastor believe that photos of the globe Earth taken from space are real? Was the moon landing broadcast live? It was one of his first points. So, yeah, do you believe that the moon landing was broadcast live? And do you believe in the photos taken by NASA from space?
I do believe that we went to the moon. I believe that the vast majority of photos from space are very likely true and legitimate. They do have raw photo. You can go to NASA's website right now, and you can look at lens images that are not fisheye lens viewpoint. They're raw photos. They show the sphere. And, again, I at one point seriously considered the moon landing being fake because in 7th grade specifically, our science teacher did not believe that the moon landing was real, and he made us watch a documentary exposing the moon landing as being faked. And I watched the whole thing, and I just came to the conclusion that their evidence was not legitimate. And when I looked at the other side, what they had to point to, it seemed very reasonable, logical, and plausible that the moon landing was legitimate. Plus, you can go to a museum in Houston right now, and they have a whole exhibit of how they took the Bible to the moon specifically. And the astronauts most of them were Christians. A lot of them were Christians.
Boom.
And they wanted to bring the Bible onto the moon. And they specifically even read the Bible on live broadcast. The Apollo 8 read Genesis chapter number 1 when they were in
they did?
orbit and when they could see the Earth from their viewpoint. So, I believe that all of that is legitimate and true. We could listen to the audio broadcast right now.
This just got way
Okay,
worse,
Preston.
man. I can. This got way worse. You believe in the moon landing, bro? Like, come on, bro. You can debunk
Preston.
the moon landing.
Believe in the
Speed of
moon?
light. What?
Do you even believe in the moon? Like, what
Okay,
is the moon?
I want to know who I believe
Okay.
in. Is I believe in the people that are asking questions. Okay, here we go.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Preston Taylor 1611 says, flat earth is so stupid it causes people with brains to reject the gospel because they think the Bible teaches flat earth and it does not. That's why we're hostile and aggressive. It's damning. What say you, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, to believe that the Bible's true and that the earth is a globe, right? You have to say that the biblical descriptions are figurative or metaphorical, and you could say the same thing in any scenario, right? I mean, that's what's required, literally, unless you twist what it says. But actually what happens, bro, is tons of atheists discover that the earth's actually in the center of the universe and that we were grossly lied to about it, and all the physicists and astrophysicists know about it. And then they're like, wait a minute, this changes everything. And then they re-examine the Bible as potentially viable again, because there is no denying a creator if the earth's in the center of the universe. And then they're like, wait, the scriptures are giving us a lot of descriptions. And now we discovered that the earth is not what we thought it was. It's brought way more people to the scriptures than it's turned away from the scriptures. That's a very wild argument. But anyway, that's my response.
Pastor, would you like to respond?
Yeah, again, I think that when I meet people that are flat earthers, they don't care about the Bible. They don't care about it being preserved. They don't go soul winning. They usually don't take church attendance very seriously. I'm dedicated to going to church, reading the Bible, memorizing it, studying it. I go out soul winning and try to evangelize people with the gospel. And most flat earthers, the only thing they want to ever talk about is the shape of the earth.
Well, you did admit you wouldn't let them in, though. So
no, I didn't
why
say
would a
that.
flat
I
earther
said
go
that
to
I
a
just wouldn't let
church
someone go around evangelizing that theory to every single person.
or
in my
just
church.
saying their opinion about it?
Well,
Yeah.
they can have an opinion.
Uh,
There's a difference between expressing your opinion
gotta
and
keep
going
it
around
quiet.
teaching people. Like, so if someone come up to me
Oh,
and,
totally.
so someone said like, "Hey, do you believe the earth is flat?" And they said, "Yeah, I do." I'm not going to throw them out of church. But if they're like trying to take everybody
Okay,
to their
good.
house and teaching it secretly and trying to go against the church, like it wouldn't matter what doctrine it was. It just wouldn't be healthy for a church specifically. A church needs to have some
what you're
level
saying
of
they couldn't
agreement.
go tell people outside of the church? That
They
is
couldn't-
so
No,
crazy.
they
culty,
couldn't be
bro.
taking people to a side or into their house and trying to teach against the church, because then there's no point in going to our church. Like if you don't have if you don't have any kind of consensus as far as like what you guys believe, like it doesn't make sense. Like if I believe the King James Bible is the Bible we should use, but people are going around saying no, we should use the NIV, well then we're gonna have to say, hey, this person can't be part of our church because they just don't even believe, what we believe.
You do realize that the prophets and everything. they
How would
debated
you,
a
real
lot.
quick, how would you monitor what people are teaching in their house? Like, what would be the way to figure out who's going against it?
Yeah, I don't monitor anything whatsoever. So it would just simply be if people came to me.
If you heard about it.
If people came to me
They
and just said,
snitched.
hey, this person is teaching this false doctrine, and multiple witnesses came to me and told me all that, then I would address it with them and say, hey, we believe a certain way. We don't want people to, go against what the church's teachings are. So if you don't agree, maybe you should find a different church that agrees with you on that particular issue. And if not, then we'd have to take it before the church, and it could elevate to the point of church discipline. But again, that would be any doctrine specifically.
What if, this is from B. Smith, what if Sunday school carpet is debated between solar system carpet or plain carpet? Who gets kicked out of the church?
If it's not a direct tie to something the Bible teaches, I don't care.
Cool. So the either carpet opinion, you're good.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Nice. Okay.
I saw some good
someone else
questions
asked-
in there.
I really am trying to answer every single one, even the
I love
negative
those
ones.
part.
I literally don't. Like, should we drink Kool-Aid? Austin talk more. Which is the real denomination? Like, I don't know how Austin stays so calm. Let Austin.
About that, folks, the internet just is having a little bit of an issue, but we want to bring it back. We've been having a great discussion, a lot of great questions in the chat. You can keep the chat going. We're going to bring them back in here in just a second. Apologize for those technical difficulties. Hopefully we'll get that fixed in the future, but we should be getting
Let's skip
them
this.
rejoining here. Someone said,
Answer a few more.
yeah, I think
All
so. There were
right.
some good questions in there.
Let me know if you see any questions, or you can just state the question and answer it if you see something I don't. Why is the sun and moon seen at the same time during the day?
That's just simply because the moon is orbiting the Earth, and so at any point they could line up. I mean, that's what we literally saw was the solar eclipse not that long ago, where the moon literally was in the direct path of the sun for some people in the United States, and they saw that solar eclipse. I'm curious, Austin, do you think that was really the moon in front of the sun, or do you think it was something else?
Yeah, if it was the moon, it works on a flat Earth. I didn't see the moon approach or leave it, so I don't know. But if it is, it works on a flat Earth, so I'm open either way. In fact,
People want
it only
Austin
works
to
on a
finish
flat
my-
Earth. I just want to say this one more time so the audience knows this is really crazy. You can try this at home. It cannot be what the globe model says, because if you take a sphere and put it in front of a spherical light source and project that onto another sphere, the shadow does not remain a perfect circle as it crosses the face. It actually turns into an oval and then goes back to a circle because of the geometry of the object the shadow's on. So I know that it's not a spherical Earth casting a shadow, or that it's just two spheres casting a shadow. It just isn't physically possible. So I don't know. I think that we're not supposed to fully understand the heavens. I think we're supposed to admire them.
Just for clarity, I just want to make sure. Are you saying that you agree that the moon moved in front of the sun, or you're just saying it's possible?
I'm saying it's possible. We don't see the sun approach it. We don't see the sun leave it. So I'm not going to claim that. I mean, in your model, you just say, I promise the sun disappears because it's not being lit up or something. So
Well, the
I'm
sun
open either
disappeared
way, like
because
I
I
said.
watched it disappear, and it was actually turned dark in the middle of the day.
No,
Like,
the
I
moon. The
experienced
moon
that.
disappears as the new moon for like up to 3 days, 12 hours to 3 days. And you say it's because the sun's not lighting it up. And, I go more the Enoch explanation, right? That it's the cycle and it basically has a relationship with the sun that charges it. But I don't know. I'm
So
saying
the
if it
moon's
was the
charging?
moon, it worked. You know that if it's what it says in Enoch. I'm guessing you don't like Enoch, but what I'm
Well,
saying
Enoch
is
says
if
that
it
women gave birth to 450-foot tall giants. So I'm curious if you
no
believe that's
no
true.
I don't want to die. No,
Well,
the unit
I'm
that people
6'8".
claim is wrong, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, I know that Owen's pretty big, but I don't think that his mom gave birth
But
to him.
did, but
that
did you get
size.
my point that even on a flat Earth it would work if it was the moon?
No, it doesn't work at all because it would have to be a sphere specifically. And again, the patterns I showed with that map show that the solar eclipses do not follow any kind of model that's on the flat Earth map. So the solar eclipses specifically disprove the flat Earth models that are demonstrated and shown.
See, this is where we would have a problem is if I've corrected you and you go research and find out what I said's true, which is that the prediction's not based on that at all. It works perfectly fine. It comes from a flat Earth civilization, and then you just keep saying it. Then we're getting in dangerous territory. And I know maybe right now you assume I'm wrong because I'm a flat earther. I must be wrong. I promise you the eclipse prediction isn't in any way specific to a globular assumption and where it's spinning or revolving. It's not at all. I encourage you to look into it. Go to adl.place and you will be able to see all of it explained.
Crush Bandicoot 7 says, for Pastor Shelley, we're all the same countries in on the COVID vax together.
I mean, specifically, I don't know exactly the widespread nature of the COVID vaccines because it seems like it was mostly like the developed countries and then affiliates of America specifically. I think that generally speaking, I think everybody kind of subscribes to the vaccine viewpoint. So, you know, when it comes to vaccines specifically, though, they have a hard time handing these out to the citizens. But I don't really care what these governments subscribe to, because if they go against America, they're going to lose funding. And so a lot of times they don't even necessarily agree with these things. They just don't want to lose funding or get harassment or have sanctions or all kinds of stuff. So I don't know that that necessarily proves anything that a lot of countries were in on the COVID vaccines. I know that some countries even didn't subscribe to them and didn't pass them out in the same way. So
yeah, Haiti, they killed him. Now, the point is, like, you referenced all the countries with the moon landing, satellites, all that. The point is pretty obvious. The countries that don't want to lose funding from a very small group of people in America go along with whatever they're told. Golfer Bear says, please allow Witsit to explain how obvious and gay the moon landing is. Go ahead, Witsit. I guess the people want to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, in every single way, it's obviously faked and gay. But the easiest way to debunk the moon landing is the actual amount of time it takes for them to communicate back and forth, according to the speed of light and the assumption that the moon is 238,000 miles away. A round trip is 2.5 seconds. And that means that you cannot communicate any faster than that. And both ways, they respond to each other under 2.5 seconds at times, being literally and physically impossible for them to have been actually on a moon 238,000 miles away, proving that it was fake. We've also have declassified documents to show that the CIA had what's called traveling map method in the mid 60s. They were highly interested in, which is basically green screen. So people say, oh, the technology didn't even exist. The CIA disagrees. They were very interested in how to fake films right before the moon landing, and they used infrared version of green screen. But anyway, the communication directly falsifies it. Obviously, you can just talk about how stupid the moon landing is forever, from the tweaker hut they called the lander to how fast they talked to the shadows to them hopping around to them dropping things. I mean, it just goes on forever. But, you know, to each their own.
American Shinobi says, shout out to Owen, the moderator. Why, thank you. I could do a better job, but I'm trying as hard as I can. Okay, why can you never see stars in any official footage from space, whether it's the moon landing or current ISS live stream? I guess that's a question for Pastor Shelley.
Well, if I just take my phone out right now and I just go take a picture of the sky, I probably won't see any stars in that particular photo either. So it's pretty obvious that sometimes, you know, when you take certain photos, it doesn't have the contrast settings to necessarily capture all of that light. When I took a picture of the solar eclipse, it did not look like what it actually looked like in real life. Sometimes cameras are limited in how much light they're going to bring in. So, you know, it's not really a problem whatsoever. I believe there is plenty of pictures of stars in the sky because we literally have them. So it's just kind of a straw man of just not understanding how lenses or photography even works.
Do we have phones now that it can literally adjust exposure settings like multiple times to different levels in the same picture? You could just turn the camera away from a light source. There's no videos in space of stars. You know why? Because it'd be way too hard to fake that, because the constellations moving in relation to their path, we'd be able to catch them faking it.
So if I show you a video,
that's
so if
an
I show you a
insane
video of
cope
stars in the sky, you're going to just say it's fake? Because there are.
No, show me them out in space with the video of stars, but we'll look at it and see if it lines up with where they claim they are. It doesn't exist, though.
So there's no videos, or they're all fake? Because I want to understand.
There are no videos outside of low Earth orbit even claimed to be real with stars in the videos. Like none. So that's pretty sketchy, don't you think? Don't you think if you went to space in a vacuum, all you would see is stars? You'd be swimming in a sea of stars. The first thing you would do is give people like 4K live stream of just the beautiful sea of stars.
I could take this camera outside right now and just point it toward the sky, and you probably wouldn't see anything. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, there's plenty of photographs of the stars. So, I just agree with your viewpoint.
Earth. All right, brother. It's all good.
Okay, well, we got some more here if anybody wants to keep going. What do we got here? This person has written this like 1,000 times. I don't understand it, but maybe someone does. Owen, please ask Pastor Shelley how there can be waters above the sun and stars, since they are above the firmament in Genesis and still exist in Psalm 148:4. These waters flooded earth in Noah's day.
So again, this is a great question. I'm glad that we get to ask it, because the Bible talks about there's 3 heavens. And the first heaven is what we know as the sky. And then we have the second heaven, which we know as space. And the third heaven is where God resides. So the verses that they're pointing out of waters being above the heaven, that's specifically talking about clouds. So it's a really easy explanation. And it's just that it's just not cool. It doesn't like prove the flat earth. So people just reject that very obvious and clear interpretation. Proverbs chapter number 8, it's very clear in verses like 26, 27, and 28. It actually gives you the day 1, 2, 3 of creation, and it clearly says that he established the clouds. So, that, and I don't know if you know, clouds are made of water. So it's just very clear that the water that's above the firmament is talking about clouds.
Okay. Someone says, Austin, please take some time to discuss the implications of propaganda and how it prevents one from understanding the truth about Earth. It's more of a command than a question, but
that's a pretty vague question. But I will point this out. It's very important in my opinion. Whatever you end up believing, we were not told the truth about this discussion just objectively. We were told like it's a scientific fact that's been proven that the solar system's real and we're flying through space. If you actually go read Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein, Arthur Eddington, you name it, every astronomer and astrophysicist worth their salt at all in the world will tell you the Earth could be in the center of the universe because there's what's called a kinematic equivalence. There's actually a dynamic equivalence as well. Fancy terms just means that everything can look like it's moving around the Earth or vice versa, equally valid. But we weren't told that. We weren't told that because of the Copernican principle. They chose to think we weren't special because Edwin Hubble said it was intolerable and horrific. So that's an example of the propaganda. They teach you these stories as if they're fact and science, and they leave out all the actual important evidence, right? So it's basically giving you like a very like select amount of information to guide how you believe, and they show you a ball when you don't even know how to think about anything yourself. And then you just kind of have an emotional attachment to it. So I would encourage people to just make up their own mind. As long as you can walk away like I made up my own mind, then that's better than just believing it.
Okay, here's a question for Pastor Shelley. How can pressure of Earth's atmosphere exist adjacent to the no pressure of space in an infinite vacuum? Without a physical barrier, the air would violently evacuate.
I mean, I believe.
I know it's been a minute since I've commented, guys, but we're already at 2 hours, and we still got a good 20-ish minutes left. I guess that's more like 15 minutes. But this is such a good representation of what we deal with. At least for me personally, I can say anecdotally that this is what I run into even with other Christians, where they basically think you're a fool, that you've been tricked, that it's a psyop, that it's a lie, and just like they do with the science, they do the mental gymnastics with their spiritual, with reading the scripture, where they can take a scripture and completely take it out of context while using scriptures that plainly explain that that the earth is not a globe, and use it as proof for it being a globe. It's ridiculous. Frankie B?
You know, when you say you like Trump, they look at you the same way as when you say you're a flat earther. It's really sad. I mean,
Well, even more so. I've met both sides.
Everything is in plain sight. I mean, they're so programmed, and it's so sad. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, once you say you're a flat earther, you lose a whole lot of credibility and a whole lot of, and then every other argument is, oh, he's a flat earther. He don't know what he's talking about. He's an idiot. You know,
Yeah.
I hear it all the time because I don't care. I just tell them straight out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People especially don't like that one for a lot of reasons. And there's a lot of things that are intrinsically tied to the heliocentric model, and people like normal don't like giving that up. Don't like giving.
I think there's a lot of black magic in this realm going on, and there is a lot of black magic behind the globe theory. I mean, in 2015, I believe that was the Great Awakening. That's when you found flat Earth. That's when I found flat Earth. That's when a lot of people that I've, heard over the internet talking about it on YouTube and other platforms. It's between 2015 and 2017 was when people started to come out of this spell that they have cast over the realm. You know?
Yeah, and like I said, for me personally, it was a painful process for me to get it, and I really didn't 100% accept it until I did my own long distance observation experiment, where I did a long distance observation over Bear Lake between Utah and Idaho. And I saw too far. It's 20 miles. It should have been hundreds of feet below, and yet I was seeing the cars drive, and even with the refraction of the lake and it not being perfect, I could still see that. And there's no explanation for that. The radius value has been thrown in the garbage. It is garbage. And so that tears apart the entire rest of the model, and they don't want to admit that, right? It's obvious.
When it was brought to me, I didn't think there was a big deal. I was like, well, what's the difference if we're on a flat plane or a globe? But then when I did the research and I came out of the globe theory, other truth facts I started to see other lies and other deceptions. That's why I do believe that enclosed cosmology breaks the spell of bad theology. That's a line from one of our songs. Don't forget to listen to Dig Deep at the end of the show. Gotta get that Born Out of Time plug in there, baby.
For sure. I want to share shout out, guys. Thank you for keeping the chat lively. Derek said, "I'd rather be called a flat earther and gain integrity with people whom are honest." Yeah, totally. It's like, and what I will say though is I have personally been a little less zealotry with it. When I first came to it, I wanted to share it with everyone, and I did lose a lot of relationships. Now, maybe that was a good thing, and that was part of it. But at the same time, I will say I was also, like I said, I went personally through the stages of grief, and I was mad and angry and trying to come up with some way that it made sense, and so I get why people are so opposed to it, because it's baked into us. It's pre-programmed. There's propaganda. There's so much behind it. It's insane. But let's keep trucking.
Explanation is just gravity is holding down parts of the atmosphere, and so obviously you can get to a point where molecules can get outside of Earth's orbit and just kind of float away. But generally speaking, it doesn't need a container to hold it in. It's simply just being held in by gravity specifically, and that's just our atmosphere. But again, people will say that gravity's not real, or they'll make all these claims about gravity not being true. But it's obvious that things do fall down towards the Earth. That's just an observable fact. So I don't understand why air molecules wouldn't do the same thing. And in fact, even in scientific experiments, you can see different air pressures changing based on gravity, and they're mixing even in a closed system or an open system. So it doesn't really matter that the atmosphere is existing on the Earth. I don't know what the flat Earth model would explain to that. It's really just a problem for both models to explain, and I think gravity does make sense. The flat Earth model doesn't have anything to explain that.
Well, it has a container. So it does. The antecedents.
But why
to
wouldn't
gas
all the air
pressure,
just float all the way to the top of this container?
because there are temperature fluctuations, and what we have is a gas cycle on the Earth. Most of the gas is cycled at the Earth, so most of it stays there. It then separates based on density, and we have a downward electric current. We have EM energy coming from the sky. The point that they're making is you can't even have the gas pressure to have the gradient without it being contained. And if you're saying it's gravity, well, first of all, you're just kind of begging the question that's true, but where gravity is the strongest on the Earth, it will still fill a vacuum. So why doesn't it stop the gas from filling a vacuum on the Earth where gravity is the strongest? It's just a claim. They actually claim some of the gas does get off into space. They say we lose tons of hydrogen every day. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you can't use an experiment to show an open system. You have to use a container for gas pressure. So it's called special pleading. They're like, "Oh, this is the one exception in the universe. Trust me, bro." Which is what
Trust
the globe
me,
always does to
bro.
me.
Yep.
Well, if I open a
Hey,
Coke
Pastor.
can, doesn't the air, diffuse? So it's now an open system.
Yes,
and we
yes.
see
The
that.
second law of thermodynamics supports our point.
Okay.
That's actually, yeah, it supports the other point. All right. Hey, Pastor, explain how a rocket produces thrust in space with no air molecules to push against. Also, thanks for proving you clearly know nothing about biblical cosmology. We're trying to avoid that. But yeah, thrust in space with in a vacuum. How does thrust work in a vacuum?
Well, if we're talking about going to the moon specifically, I believe that you simply just take your rocket, you shoot up, you take the Earth's orbit, and it uses a slingshot effect, and they simply just use that slingshot. They use a little bit of thrust to get outside of the Earth's orbit to escape, and they have to slingshot themselves towards the moon. So the vast majority of the trip in space is actually just a consistent trajectory. Now, they do potentially use their thrusters to make adjustments. I believe that's what the Apollo 13 movie is even about, is specifically that.
So how do you leave the moon then? The moon's a vacuum allegedly. So how would they blast off without a, how would they leave the moon? Because that's
Pastor Kelly.
Again, I don't know what the atmosphere of the moon is. I mean, it's difficult.
It's claimed by NASA. It's zero. They have no atmosphere.
Again, I don't know exactly how they would argue.
Oh, look at that
specific
face!
thrust.
Look at that face!
Okay, I'm curious to know Pastor Shelley's view.
I gotta stop it there. He doesn't.
Definitely looking at notes. Look at his eyes. He's looking down at an iPad or right here when his eyes are not going to the left. Like when you look to the left, you're looking to the left side of your brain for an answer. He's looking down for the answer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Does that make
well,
any sense?
they're all looking over to the different screens and chat. So I won't say that's
Yeah, but
necessary.
he's doing it. He's doing it when he's correlating his answer.
Well, yeah, but also if dude, I actually need to make a meme of this. Like, have this question asked,
Exactly
and then
how
just have
they,
this going for the rest of the time. Look
how
right
they would
there.
argue for
I
that.
don't
That
know,
face.
City.
Let's stop at that
Thrust.
face.
Okay, I'm curious to know,
I
Pastor.
don't know exactly how they.
Ooh, look at that face.
Make a meme. Yeah, after that right now. That's
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
Oh wait, let's see if I can find it.
Oh, you gotta capture that right now.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh god.
How
That's
they would
fine.
argue for
I don't
that
know, City.
specific
Yeah.
thrust.
Okay, I'm curious to know Pastor Shelley's view on dinosaurs. Are they real or made up?
The word dinosaur is not found in the Bible, but there is two creatures that are alluded to as far as Leviathan and Behemoth, and they do sound like creatures of stature and size that we don't have today. Additionally, there's a lot of cities and civilizations throughout history that have appealed to certain large animals. So I do believe that there was probably some creatures like a behemoth that fit some of the bone structures that we find in museums today. But I do think it's also reasonable that some of the dinosaur fossils that are, quote, found don't really add up to the creatures that they claim they are. If you go to a lot of these museums, you'll notice that they're pretty much all 100% casts. They're not actually any bones whatsoever. There's
Yeah, there's
very
a
few
little bit of
bones that they
gravy,
actually
but
have on display, and not even in some of the most prominent museums do they even have anything that's a legitimate bone. So I think it's probably a mixture of there's probably some fiction and some fact to that, but I do think the Bible does appeal to a creature in Job as behemoth that does not fit an elephant or a rhino, and I believe it's very likely that it could have been some type of what we call dinosaur, and that they would have existed with man. They were created in the 6-day creation in Genesis 1.
Ginny has a spicy question for Austin. Why is Austin drinking breast milk?
What? I was drinking orange juice, but
Allegedly,
I
I
don't know.
mean, that's your claim.
Yeah.
I mean, allegedly you're
Yeah,
drinking.
touche.
But according to a
Touche.
Rumble chat, it's breast milk, and we want to know what's going on.
Yeah, I've never seen
American
Austin blush
Shinobi
before.
says, Pastor,
Later.
yeah, that was
It's the first time I've ever seen him blush. That's great.
that was
You gotta
funny.
replay that.
That was funny coming from Owen for sure.
what are the odds we lost all knowledge and tech to make it to the moon and back, which is what NASA claims, and why haven't we went back?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Number one, China and India and other countries have visited the moon since then. India recently landed on the moon. But when it comes to technology, it's definitely lost all the time. We don't know how to build the pyramids. We don't know how they built certain things of antiquity. But, you know, if you understand NASA in the 60s and the 70s, like a lot of the information was not in a computer. A lot of the information was in the head of their scientists, of their astronauts. They had to be able to do certain calculations in their head on the fly. And so a lot of that information doesn't necessarily get transferred, doesn't get written down. It's not any different than if you just drop me and Austin and Owen on an island by ourselves. We're not going to start manufacturing cars and computers and cell phones. Like, we don't know how to do that. And so there's not really any difference to a particular space program being shut down and that generation passing away and bringing a new generation, and they don't necessarily understand all of the technology that they had at that time. But you have Elon Musk and other people reinventing it, coming up with new processes, new technologies, new spacecrafts, new rockets. In fact, the rockets that they make for SpaceX, they actually reuse them. So the thrusters, they send them up and then they come back and land back down, and they're able to reuse that particular portion of the spacecraft. And so, you know, it's not like technology being lost over time is a new phenomenon. That's something that is very
They should
common
call it going
and is
to
a human
inner
condition.
space.
So I think it's something we should all take note of, is that we need to also be smart and not just let technology go by the wayside.
Totally. And I think it's a great time to start landing the plane. We're pushing 3 hours now, and everybody's been having a blast. And I just like to personally thank both of you guys for doing this. Pastor Shelley, Wits It Gets It. I thought this went really fun. I mean, the chat really enjoyed themselves, especially once I started reading their stuff. I think that they're enjoying it. I think everybody made some good points. And let's each of you guys, 3 minutes, make a statement to your people, where people can find you, why you think this is important, but how we can still all get along. Let's wrap it up fun. Let's start with Austin.
Yeah, so like the reason that I do this, man, and this may trigger some people here, is this isn't really something I would have ever done. If anyone knew me before I talked about this a lot, they would not believe this would ever happen. I had a very spiritual experience, and I started feeling kind of led to talk about how we're being misled about what was created for us. And it hasn't been easy for me, man. I lost a very good job offer. I've been completely ostracized and blah, blah, blah. And I don't care, but I mean, I'm not a victim or anything. I'm just pointing out that the motivation for flat earthers is nothing like what people seem to think it is. And the reason that I do all that is because it changes many people's lives, and that's just a fact. And flat earth is so dangerous that someone may move out of a city and make 5 babies and grow a garden or something, you know? So it gets you close to the creator and grounded and more appreciative of what's here, and more intuitively like in line with what you experience. And so I just want the audience to go look into these things, like watch the Principle documentary, watch Heliosorcery. That's where you'll learn the true history of geocentrism. Inform yourself on these things, and you'll find out that there's something called the Copernican Principle. And that's the idea that the earth does not occupy a special or unique place. And these crazy atheistic people that want to believe in evolution and hate the idea of God and all this stuff, they push the Copernican Principle of philosophy into this discussion and now claim that it's science. And what you'll find out is the evidence actually shows that the Earth's in the center. And in fact, that we built huge telescopes for the first time ever in the early 1900s. We saw out to what people call galaxies, and everything was moving around the Earth. And they're like, wait a minute, this is not supposed to be happening. Did they step back and say, oh, maybe the Earth is in the center? Of course not. They made up new stories that everything's accelerating and expanding, creating another illusion. And whenever we measured it time slowed down and tricked us and blah, blah, blah. Because these people, they have a philosophical bias against it. So long story short, to wrap it up, just go look into that. I have a geocentrism stream that if you really find out what happened, it's not what you're being led to believe, right? And I encourage everyone to just kind of be more patient and kind with people, because what you don't know is the people that are on this side have done lots of research, and they found out, whoa, this is like a huge lie that we're being told. We're being misled about the actual observations, and it shows that the Earth's in the center. And finally, that would, of course, mean if the Earth's in the center, the question is who placed it there? And it's a pretty significant and impactful thing. So I encourage people just to stay open-minded and try to be humble and kind to people.
Well, thank you, Wits It Gets It. And I don't know how to do a poll in someone else's chat, but if you guys in the chat want to just say who you thought won, just say the name and then a W, because that's important to know. And I'd also like to apologize to Pastor Shelley in the beginning. I was way too bitchy. I can do that. I'm sorry. It ended up being great. Sorry, I was like, I really had a good time. I was
What's up, brother?
What does did you see the chat? Who were they giving the L's and the W's to?
I don't honestly remember. I left after they disconnected, and I finished it later. So I wasn't there in the chat in this part.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought it was over because it disconnected. So, but yeah, let's finish it up.
Way too aggressive in the beginning. So if you guys watch from the beginning, I'm going to time travel a little Einstein style. My bad. He turned out to be a good dude. Okay. Final closing thoughts for Pastor Shelley.
Yeah, I want to thank both parties for being on the show. And even though Owen was a prick at the beginning, he warmed up, so I appreciate that.
Oh, I gotta add to the. I've been a little bit more liberal with the counter this time, and yeah, I gotta add a little bit more. Definitely, you said Owen was. I'm pretty sure you were, buddy. Yeah. Anyways,
And
My
you know,
bad.
when it comes to this specific issue, you know, I believe there's just so much reality denial when it comes to the flat Earth
oh gosh, I gotta keep that option open to change it. Okay, here, wait, let me. Okay, let's play it.
position. And of course, the government's lying about a lot of things. Of course, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that are true. And of course, I believe the Bible. But I think that sometimes people go a little overboard with the idea that the government's lying. Look, 2 + 2 is still 4. And, you know, there's some level of reality that we can all adhere to. I don't think everybody's in on this scam. And specifically, you know, the sun itself, if we're orbiting around the sun is a picture of God. And, you know, the world is not about us. It's about God, and it's about us serving and worshiping Him. And specifically, the most important truth that you can ever get is the gospel of Jesus Christ, being saved. You know, the Bible makes it clear that we've all sinned, and if we don't get saved, that we would go to hell, which is in the center of the sphere. And that's a place I don't want anyone to go to. That's a bad time to realize that the Earth's a sphere is when you're in hell burning. And so I want people to be saved. The Bible makes it clear that Jesus Christ died on the cross for all our sins, was buried,
Wow,
and rose
his
again.
doctrine is
And all we
way
have to
off.
do is simply put our trust in Him one time, put your faith in Him alone for salvation, and you will be saved. You will go to heaven when you die. That's the most important truth. And of course, I do think that there's other things that are important. That's why we're having a discussion. We're bringing up these different topics. I do believe that NASA's not lying on this specific issue, but that doesn't mean that I care what NASA thinks, because I really don't. And people have believed in the sphere and believed everything I'm saying before NASA ever existed. So it's just a straw man to say that I just love these institutions or something like that. I don't care at all. I just want people to be saved, and I don't want people to be stupid and look like idiots. And unfortunately, the reason why people are mocking you for being a flat earther is because you're being stupid. They love you. Sometimes rebuke is coming from a place of love. Jesus said that He rebukes those whom He loves. And you know, the Bible talks about parents spanking their children as a form of love. And so sometimes you tell someone that they're just being a retard and an idiot because they are, and you love them and you want them to stop subscribing to stupid, idiotic things like the flat earth. And I really hope that people will check out the evidence, because it's abundant that the earth is a sphere. Everything proves that. The Bible proves that. Don't listen to weird cultists who are trying to just suck you down a bad rabbit hole.
Nice. That was a very eloquent close. And with that, we're going to land the plane. I'd like to thank Pastor Jonathan Shelley. He just it's the Baptist bias here on Rumble. I think he got a lot of people to
Wendy.
watch. I mean, we've had almost over 2,000 the whole time. So took some courage and some balls and some open-mindedness to come have this chat. Of course, Witsit gets it. Austin, I love his stuff. I've known him for a long time. If you want to check him out, I think he's on YouTube, right? Witsit?
Yeah. Just for this part of the topics, yeah.
Yeah, he's on YouTube. He's on Rumble. He's on all the places. I did a moderate job. It's okay if you thought I was annoying. I tried my best. But you can find me on rumble.com/user/Owen Benjamin. And yeah, I felt like this was great. And I will see you guys soon, and be good to each other. Much love.
Alrighty, guys. That was a really fun debate. I've been liking doing these debate reviews here during season 2, doing them on Friday, giving an extra little stream, and I'd also like to maybe start, and if there's no debates to review, to maybe start doing some interviews with people. I think that would be pretty interesting to just do interviews with maybe content creators or just individuals, maybe that don't necessarily it's necessarily the round table, because they don't believe exactly, they don't believe in what the true earth. But who knows? I'm thinking of some cool stuff we could also do. But yeah, I enjoyed this debate review. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll go ahead and say our goodbyes and get out of here. And remember, we do have a stream tomorrow, which will be the first episode of the next one, which will be talking about giant trees, basalt columns. It'll be super fun. And then on Sunday, we'll be starting off the Enoch series, the Peace Seeker series with the Book of Enoch, Part 1. So check that out. But yeah, we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes. I'll let you go ahead and go first, Frankie B, and we'll get out of here.
Good night, everyone. Yeah, that was a good show. I like what Austin always says: continue to seek truth, seek and find the truth, because it's out there.
Oh yeah.
And just continue to dig deep into the scriptures, into doctrines, into where we are, into what age we are in, because there's so much truth out there. And but the Bible says it's a king's job to seek out the truth, and we are called kings and priests. So if you're going to walk in your kingship, then you must seek out the truth. So dig deep. Born out of time, baby, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Shabbat. Oh yeah, it's Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. Indeed. Yeah. So again, tomorrow night, talking about giant trees. Sunday, starting off our reading of the Book of Enoch. And so please check that out. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And it's all free, right? A little bit of your time helps the channel grow. Doesn't cost any money, and you get to still support us. So if you'd like to do that, please do so. But yeah, until next time, guys, remember that ABBA loved you first. See you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
It's your glory, conceal the mystery. You give us the honor to search your mind.